want to talk about now is the mental side of putting. We talked about your technique looks good. You talked about leaving your putts short. You tend to leave them short. So one of the most important things in putting is confidence. Confidence is about 50% of putting, I like to think. Then you have 35% is speed, 15% is line. Uh, if you have, for example, a 20-foot putt, you leave it 6 feet short, you left yourself with a 6-footer. You have a 20-foot putt and you get it 20 feet, but you misread the line by 2 or 3 feet. You're only going to have a 2 or 3 footer coming back. So speed is really important. Goes hand in hand with maybe where your issues are. You're saying you have some leaving them short a little bit. Especially on the long ones, you want to make sure you get them there. But confidence above everything in putting is the most important thing. Think about some of your best putting rounds. You get out there, on the first hole, maybe you hit a 6-footer for birdie. You get to the second hole, you've got a tough up and down, and you've got a 4 or 5 footer that you hit for par. You get to that third green, you get over like a 10, 15 footer. What are you thinking?
Thinking, man, I gotta make sure I make this.
Well, yeah, and you have a little confidence though, right? You're like, this, I've already hit a 6-footer, a 5-footer for par. This is going in, and odds are a good chance, it's going in. Some of those best putting days, they begin with confidence builders. You hit a 6-footer, a 7-footer, maybe a 10, 15-footer to start one of the first few holes. And then it just grows from there. So putting is really, a lot of it's mental. On the opposite side, think about one of those days where you just can't hit anything. You hit the first green, you leg it up to, say you have a 20-footer, you leg it up to 3 feet and you miss it. Now you get over the next hole, you get to the next hole, you've got a 5-footer for birdie. A lot of times, maybe not you, but a lot of golfers start going through the head, well, I just missed a 3-footer, I'm going to miss this. Think about every putt you've stepped over where you're not really sure of the line, or for example, you read your line, right? You're all set, and then all of a sudden you're looking at it and you go, you know what, I think it's going to break a little more right, so you aim a little left. What happens usually? You end up leaving a little left, right? Yeah. Confidence is, can't stress how important confidence is in putting. So first thing to talk about is, that line. Are you a line putter or a spot putter?
I like the line. I like the imaginary line.
Imaginary line to the hole? So, you get it behind your putt, you line it up. Once you make that read, stick with it. If you get over that putt and you start thinking, I don't know, don't just readjust or hit it. Step back, okay? Restart your whole pre-shot routine. Stand behind it, pick your line again, get back over it, make sure you're confident. That's the most, first part of setup. Then when you get over that putt, you get your line, you're all set. You go through your little pre-shot routine here, whatever your practice swings are. Next thing I want you to do is just right before you putt, think to yourself, or even say out loud. A lot of times vocally saying it is even better. This putt's going in. So set over it, you got your pre-shot, this putt's going in. There we go. Especially, it's good on days A where you've built that confidence already, and it's a good way to build that confidence. So days, where you're not putting well, get over that putt. I want you to think, all right, this is going in. Every time, step over it. Whether it's a 20-footer, a 5-footer, a 3-inch putt. Even saying it out loud, or just, if you feel uncomfortable doing that, you're playing with people you don't know, just, mentally say, all right, this putt's going in, or say it nice and low. And then the next thing I want you to do is just stroke that putt. So we're going to hit one here. We know this one breaks off a little bit to the right at the end. Want to make sure you get it to that hole. Obviously, I put that line there. That's about 18 inches behind the hole. If you miss it, I want it to be at least between the hole and the line there. Set up, pick your line. Last thing I want you to do is say this putt's going in the hole.
Putt's going in the hole.
Caught a little